What's going on, Sumolings? Thank you so much for joining us for another product walkthrough webinar. I am Lindsay, and today I am joined by the team over at MarketMuse. MarketMuse is an AI-driven platform that helps you build content strategies, find gaps in your topics, and accelerate research and publication. It is available on AppSumo right now, starting at $69 for a lifetime deal. But before we dive into the walkthrough, I just want to tell y'all a few quick things. The first is that if you want to tell us a little bit about your use case, why you are interested in this tool, you can go ahead and do that over in the chat room. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to ask any questions about the tool, the deal, how to get set up, go ahead and leave those questions in the Q&A box down below this video. We'll circle back to them at the end of the walkthrough, but we also have some people on standby here to go ahead and answer your questions as they come in. The third thing is that there is a replay of this available. It'll come out like slightly later today. So if you need to step out, or if you just want to watch this again, you know, like as you're falling asleep at night, you can totally do whatever you want with it. It'll be available to you shortly. All right, that is enough of me. Hey, Jeff, how are you doing?
I am great. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Sumolings. While I'm not as seasoned of a Sumoling, I have bought many codes, so we're so excited to be part of AppSumo. Everybody from your team has been amazing, both from our initial discussions as well as getting this set up, and then working with the community in the first few days has been just wonderful. And I'll get into that in a minute. For today, I have a presentation that I'm going to walk through, but I promise it's going to be short. I'm going to be running through those PowerPoint slides super quick, and then we'll get into using MarketMuse Suite, as you will experience as a Sumoling with a MarketMuse AppSumo account. And then we're going to answer a lot of questions. So I'm just going to jump into my deck, and I hope you can see my screen, because if you can't, then we're in trouble. Someone give me a thumbs up.
You're good.
All right. Awesome. All right, and I'm coming to you from Georgia. Our headquarters is in Boston. Normally I'm on a plane a lot, but obviously none of us are on planes a lot these days. But thank you, and from wherever you are, we've gotten so much feedback and information about people, where they're from, what sites they're working on, their goals, and keep that stuff coming. That's what powers MarketMuse. We care about your site's performance. And another thing we focus on is we care about content quality and content comprehensiveness. We're not focused on gaming any systems. We're not focused on building content that isn't wonderful. So keep that in your brain every time you use a MarketMuse. The goal of this is for you to put content out that makes your users or prospective customers happy, makes them successful, gets them excited about the things you're selling, the value you're providing for your site. Intros today, you may see some faces on here. Elizabeth Irvine is on the line too. I think you may see her face on there. She is our VP of marketing. Jasleen Coss is you may see her in the comments as well. She is our product lead, and you can reach her on Twitter there, JazzyKK. I am Jeffrey _Coyle. I'm her co-founder. I'm our chief strategy officer. What's that mean? We can get into that later. Don't want to really describe that now. But really, I've been working in the content strategy, search engine optimization, and lead gen space, and everything in between for about 21 years. In the last 6 and 7 years, building MarketMuse out to service the needs of lead gen, content quality, content strategists, SEO experts, affiliates, agencies, everything under the sun. So there probably isn't a question that we haven't gotten between Jazz, Elizabeth, and me. So please bring them on. Tell us your story, do that in support, shoot us a note, send me a DM. Really any way you can get that information to us is great. This is the link to, housekeeping. There's a lot of stuff that, is involved in an AppSumo, but these are some of the things we saw that we want people to know, like right now, we want you to know. This is the link to redeem your codes. You actually have to go to this page, not in our front door. So this is in your code redemption area, app.marketplace.com/AppSumo. This is an AppSumo page only. This is the only way you can redeem your codes and set them up in the right way. We have built a dedicated Facebook group for Sumolings. MarketMuse Collective. Go hop into Facebook, request an invite. We'll validate that you have an active AppSumo account and get you in there. You can ask any questions away. We've got a lot of people, even from our content strategy and content advisory team, who deliver professional services in the space, who are there to answer your questions. As far as questions for us today goes, anything, right? We might be able to get to them in this call, but at the tail end of this, I'm going to try to talk for about 30 minutes. We're going to leave a lot of room to answer questions. So if they're really specific, if they're about you, if they're about your site, you don't want to say your site's name, if they're a specific use case that you think is an edge case, if you're talking about like building it into your specific workflow, feel free to ask it. We may not get to it in this. We may get to it in a personal conversation. We may get to it on the Facebook group. So just keep that in mind. But if it's something about the deal, but something about the site, how it works, why it works, whatever you want to ask, please ask that today. All right, here's the actual start. That was all housekeeping. History of MarketMuse. This began many years ago, over 7 years ago, as people have pointed out. And we really focus on advancing and amplifying folks' content performance, content efficiency. Every time you write a content item, we want it to perform better than it did without MarketMuse. And we've traditionally focused on larger teams, mid-market, even small or medium businesses that have larger teams. They write a lot of content, they update a lot of content. But about this time last year, we launched a MarketMuse Pro line of products. And that was focused on solopreneurs, smaller teams, focusing on updating or creating a couple content items every month. And what you have access to is really that solution. It's to be able to, go in, update, research content, update content. And we're so happy to be able to bring this to the AppSumo team, this product line. And why we do this, it's part of that. So we want to be able to enable everyone who wants to optimize and improve their content quality to do so with MarketMuse. And so this is the first time we've really been able to bring our solution to an audience like AppSumo, and it's just been a tremendous experience. And thank you so much for being part of it. And I'll mention a couple things that get into the spirit of MarketMuse, but really it's about finding these for you and your sites. So stick with me here as I walk through it. I want you to find your quick wins. Quick wins are going to be pages to update or pages to create, where you have a special advantage. Maybe you identify that the competitors aren't writing as good content as they should. You figure out the topics or the related topics that you can include in your pages that would really differentiate you, open you up to speaking about things that only you can. We're not talking about writing the content that mimics someone else. We're writing about content that shows the world that you're an expert, that your differentiated value is unique. But also it's about goals. And it's about saying, hey, I want to own this topic. How do I get there with MarketMuse? It could also be about risks. It could be, hey, I have a competitor that's just eating my lunch. How do I address that? What content do I need to create in order to, maybe not overcome them, but become part of the story, to become part of that competitive landscape? Or maybe you just have to get a bunch of stuff done. You have to write a bunch of content. You've already got an editorial calendar for the year. You know the next 50 articles you want to write. We want to make sure you can put your best foot forward. Make sure you're publishing content that's equal to or better than all of your competitors every time. And that's something we can say we can do with MarketMuse because we've created a quantifiable measure of comprehensiveness and quality. And that's the content score. And that's what you're going to look at when we jump in to the software. Last thing I'll mention before we get into a couple of AppSumo, what we've learned, right? And, things that have changed since we first, even 4 days ago, launched the AppSumo. We try to influence all of the stages of this workflow. Your content is a living thing. If you're on this call, you probably know that. You probably like to go back and update and expand content to lean into your success. You figure out that a page is ranking for a particular topic, but maybe the page doesn't answer that question or that user intent very well. You want to optimize that content. What MarketMuse does is looking to focus on touching each stage of this content lifecycle. From the stage where you said, I want to write this, or I have no idea what to write, what should I write? Giving you ideas, but then carrying it through all the way to implementation. And that's what we do with our content briefs and MarketMuse first draft, which I can get into a little bit later. But that is something that is a very exciting component of this AppSumo solution. And, you don't do everything right. all the time. I know this. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have a business, if you're a startup, if you've been through 15 startups, you make a lot of mistakes, right? But in this case with AppSumo, they haven't really been. They much more been just like listening to the community. We're very excited to have been able to, with some of our smaller plans or historic plans, we haven't enabled as many use cases. But we're able to look at and say, oh yeah, we want this team to be able to export their report views. And when we say reports or things, the executions of the applications, we're able to add that to AppSumo deals. We also had a lot of questions about domain visibility, like you're connected to a domain. On our side, we're doing that so that you have to abide by our terms of service, right? You're not reselling these things. You're not, abusing them, like having multiple accounts. But this shouldn't influence your performance of using the solution. So we've really limited where you need to have the execution of the applications to your particular site. And you can use research, you can use compete, you can use optimize and questions to analyze any topics, on any sites. And we've enabled that as of this week. We've had a code limitation on the initial solution that was launched, but we've lifted that. So you can actually apply as many codes as you'd like to your account. As a function of that, we did have to take away one of the more alpha solutions that we had inside. So we're not enabling the ordering of one of the solutions, the final draft, because we're able to update those code limits. But you can still order MarketMuse first draft, which is access to our natural language platform. We thought that was a really great compromise, and we got that locked. So you can actually order MarketMuse first draft directly through the platform. And that's really exciting. It's the only natural language generation platform that's been built for content marketers. It's not GPT-3. We have some blog posts about that. I don't need to get into that here. But what I'd also mention is, two sides of amazing support. We've been really focused on supporting you and really getting quicker with responses. I think our initial day in AppSumo, we were hit by thousands and thousands of requests, and we just tried to get through them. But now we're staying on top of it, and we're responding to support more quickly, more directly, and it's something that we're really happy about. We've gotten great feedback on that as a result too. So thank you. One thing I'll say about the AppSumo community and Sumolings is it's really an inspiring community of experts, of people just starting out, people who have been in the game for a long time, people who have bought 15 AppSumos or 100 AppSumos in the past. And we've been really inspired by already people telling us about success stories. So please shoot them to us. But also shoot us feedback if it doesn't meet expectations. Or if it's not what you expected, and tell us why. Whether it's about the deal or about the technology explicitly, we really do want to hear it. That's a lot of value. You and how you feel about this brings forth, amazing things. And it's really been inspiring. And we're really, really grateful for any feedback we get from your team and your community. It's really been a super way to get started with this AppSumo deal. All right, I've talked a lot. That's 14 minutes, about 13 minutes. But we're gonna get into the suite. And again, let's hop in. All right, so when you are inside MarketMuse, the AppSumo demonstration, you see access based on the number of codes that you've entered. You see access to a certain level of applications. So what I'm going to do is walk through the most common ones that all Sumolings will have access to, and then I'll briefly touch on a few that are only accessible with the additional credits. And the first one that you'll probably be most familiar with is Optimize. And MarketMuse Optimize is our solution for analyzing existing content, for analyzing content that hasn't been published, so it's in draft form, or you can fetch a URL and you can research that on any topic. So you can type in any topic. It can be something general. It can be something very specific. It can be something, just one word. You're not going to get the same level of information, which I'll explain in a second. But you can look up any word against any page, or you can just look up words and look up topics that you're doing analysis on. I'm looking at a page that we have on our blog for what is a content brief, which is something that we'll get into a little bit later because MarketMuse delivers content briefs at scale. It's one of our huge value propositions. But what MarketMuse Optimize does is we go out and we research the topic that you typed in. That doesn't mean look at 5 pages. That doesn't mean look at 1 page. We go out and we try to learn about the concept. And with our topic modeling technology, by the way, all technology you see at MarketMuse, we built ourselves. We are not reliant on any data sources, third party. We built all of this ourselves. Very, very unique to what we do. And it's because we care about what it means to be a subject matter expert on any topic. So when we go build this topic model for content brief, we're going out and looking at tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of documents until our artificial intelligence platform is confident that they know what it means to be an expert on this topic. And then that's returned to you on this research tab. This research tab gives you insights as to the most relevant, conceptually relevant concepts that an expert would write about if they really knew what they were talking about content briefs. And then it cross-references that with your page. So if I don't have a page on here, this is going to be a bunch of zeros. But because I do, I can see areas where I have coverage. I see how much coverage I have. I see what MarketMuse says, maybe the suggestion for this kind of golden topic model. And it starts to show me my gaps. And I see the gaps against this ideal model for what it means to be an expert. So then I can walk through these things and say, which ones of these are connected to my target intent of my piece? Maybe if I see one that's not, I may put a notch on the board and say, hey, I'm going to write a new piece about that topic because it's relevant to this one. And if it is not relevant to this article. So I will walk through my article, make those decisions. I can drill into any one of these things and get some variance as well. So I can look up and see what are the other things that may be relevant, ways that people may be thinking about these topics, and I can dive in and get that information. The other thing I see is the Compete tab. So this is a lighter view of what we're going to look at in the Compete application, but it gives me the stack ranking of the top 20 search results from organic search for this search, and it shows me MarketMuse content score. It also shows me their word count. And I'll get into that in a little bit more detail, but don't miss these topics here. Don't miss these areas of this solution. It shows you the content score. It shows you the average that is in the search results top 20 today. And then it shows us what we think, MarketMuse thinks you should target. All right. So have you beat the average? Have you beat this specific target? It also shows you the same with word count, your word count, the average in the search results, and then what we recommend that you do to expand your piece, or have you hit the mark? We also have some functionality for removing and adding things. Maybe you don't like the scores, maybe you don't like the right rail, maybe you don't like these notations for headers, or you can even add a control bar that is more of a WYSIWYG editor right into your view. So it can be very, very useful all around. All right, let's go back into one more feature I want to show you here, and it is putting yourself head to head with your competitors. So inside Compete, you can bounce in, you get your deep dive x-ray of your page, and you can compare it directly to that one-to-one competitor. So we mentioned target audience, we mentioned content strategy, but Content Marketing Institute doesn't in their piece. And then vice versa, we can go back and find things that they do talk about. They talk about clients and projects. They talk about design, and we don't. So those may be ways that I can differentiate myself against my competitors, because that's what it's about, right? It's making sure that you're differentiated against what you should be covering and differentiated against your competitors, or you're finding things that everyone's covering that you have to approach if you're going to be considered that expert. You also see highlighting, and you can mouse over and get some more information, but you can walk through your piece. One cool use case here is if you see that there's an area of your page where there's not a lot of green, maybe it's a little fluffy. Maybe it's not really covering the topic very well. Maybe you're just covering a different topic. So there's a lot of different cool use cases that you can enable right in the platform. If you've got Grammarly, it will automatically connect to this. It's got all different types of things built in. If you use any standard CMS, you can do copy for publishing right out of here and paste it right into those areas. It will hold the formatting in there. All right, so we've gone through researching any page on any topic. This can be content that's published. It could be content, you can write it right in and you'll get immediate feedback. See that? It's highlighted there and this updated there. So it can be pages that are published, it can be pages that haven't. You also now, if you have 3 codes or more, can export. I'll get into that a little bit later if we have time. But I want to bounce over to Compete. because Compete is really excellent for understanding your competitive landscape, understanding what you have to have in a page, and then understanding maybe where you could differentiate yourself. And this is really one area where MarketMuse is set apart from anything that's anyone's ever been trying to do on this topic. Okay, so you still have that stack ranking in Compete, it's right here, but you can bounce into the heat map. The heat map shows you this top 20 search results set for this for the market that you've chosen, for the country that you've chosen, and it shows you where you stand if you put in a page, or it just shows you all of them, and you can walk through this entire topic model and understand who has covered these things and who hasn't. So if you see something where almost everybody has a color, yellow, blue, green, that means that almost everybody's talking about content briefs. Okay, so if you write an article about what is a content brief, it had better mention content briefs. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But what you also see is things that are very relevant and conceptually and very relevant for user intent, like influencer marketing, copywriting, design briefs, creative brief templates, creative briefs, marketing briefs, brief templates that are relevant for user intent profiles, but not everybody is touching on them in your pieces. That's a way that you can differentiate yourself and both do that while improving your content score and making sure that you're going to have the best chance to perform for the most topics in organic search, and then also obviously for your target topic. This can all be exported as well. You can also put yourself head to head against any one of your competitors here and get the same view that you can get inside Optimize. Awesome. One more research we're going to talk about. Everyone has access to this. Again, this is direct access to our topic modeling technology. You can type in any term. It's going to show you the topic model in order of relevance and show you the typical distribution for a comprehensive content item written on that topic. And this can be exported too. Inside here, you can dive in and learn about variants, and you can select the ones that you like, and it will hold on to it, effectively building yourself a quickie outline that can be exported immediately. The last thing I'll show here before I jump into a brief is questions. At some AppSumo code levels, you can access those. What questions does, it's not pulling this out of the PAA of the Google search results only. We go in and we analyze thousands of content items when we're building our topic models. But what this does is it extracts all of the questions. It also can invert prose into questions and include them here. If you see a question that you were really interested in learning more about, I can run that in any one of my accessible applications, and it will start a new process of building content specifically that answers that question. All right. Like I said, you can type in anything into any of these bars, and we're going to go out. We're going to figure out what does it mean to be an expert on that specific query, on that specific topic. All right. The last thing that's part of this live demo, and I am kind of on time, is a content brief. Content briefs are two parts. And this is where you have to use your credits for content briefs if you're going to order them. The same would go for first drafts, which is another one of our premium solutions that we've included in the AppSumo deal, not just access to the applications. What a content brief covers is two parts are really important here. Your executive summary, which covers the recommendations for content score, the recommendations for word count. We get into why people are searching for the topic, questions that you will need to answer elegantly when you write this article, title recommendations, subsection recommendations. We also build that topic model out and we deliver it in this format so you can see what topics need to be included in this content item when you're creating it so that your writer has access to that. We also give you insights for internal and external linking. This is why this is tied to your domain. If we're going to give you internal and external linking recommendations, we've got to know what your site is. And then we also build an outline for that. So we take it a step further for the writer and we build a suggested outline or a recommended outline. If your writer can be more creative than this, they can add a section, they can tweak these things, but it's giving them guardrails so that they know and they can be more confident that when they publish articles, they're going to be successful. So we actually walk through the article, what tools you need to get started, what questions need to be answered, topics, internal and external links. Right inside this brief, you can also paste in your draft and understand how well your article complied with the brief, which is really powerful. Gives you a single source of truth for every article that you desire to build. All right, I have spoken enough. I've walked through practically everything that you might run into. Like I said, if you've got over 3 codes, you can export any of these things. And I'll export just to show the user this. The one other feature that's been commonly coming up is, do you store any of these things? We have a thing called the snapshot view. It shows you all the recent queries run, all the recent actions taken inside the application. So you can go right into that information of your history. The export here pops right in, and it's in XLS format. All right, let's get into the questions. I think I've covered most things. Jasleen, did I cover everything that I might want to cover? Lindsay, you know the solution. Is there anything that you think I should have covered on the visuals?
I think you did great on the visuals. Sumolings will definitely let us know, though, if you missed anything. So Sumolings, if you feel like you've been shorted on the visuals, let us know. All right, we got some questions here. The first, do you plan to release the Shareable content optimizer?
Right. That is in our roadmap, but there is no time associated with it. What you will see is what you already have access. Briefs are shareable, and what you're going to see is first drafts are going to be coming into the platform, and access to those will be shareable. So for the parts of the application that Sumo links have access to, those are the relevant currently shareable elements. The export is kind of our perspective of the stopgap until we decide whether that's going to be accessible for these plans. So, but it is not timed out. We don't have explicit timing. So please keep giving us that feedback on that, because that feedback drives prioritization. So we appreciate that.
Can you talk about credits? What are they worth, and what can we do with them?
Credits, right. So in an AppSumo account, credits can be used to purchase content briefs and MarketMuse first drafts, which are the output of our natural language generation platform. Our natural language generation platform was built in-house in our M4 lab by our data science team. It is purpose-built for your site, something to keep in mind. So we actually tune our language model for you. And so when you build a first draft, it is connected. That is accessible, and then the briefs can be ordered. We are looking into separating the brief from the default domain. That's something that's on the roadmap. But for now, that site that you have connected to, ordering that brief, those are the things that credits would be used for. The applications have nothing to do with credits. So that's the easiest way to think about this. I know there's been a lot of questions. The applications are how you use your queries. The credits are for physical things you get, those briefs and the drafts.
Cool. What are the targeted scores based on? For example, if the average word count is 1,500 words and MarketMuse is suggesting 2,200, how is that 2,200 number arrived at?
All right, great question. That's someone that's using the software, which I love to hear. All right, so I will go through this in as much detail as I possibly can if you have a follow-up. Okay, so we are going through and looking at everything we can find about a particular topic. We're trying to learn what it means to be an expert on this specific topic. We also have behind the scenes, we have intent analyzers and classifiers. We have a lot of different technology that's basically enabling us to give a really good model. You can really visualize this if you look for something really specific or look for something generic. We're still providing a high quality topic model. That's really different than what you might have experienced with a term frequency solution or a TF-IDF tool. This isn't that, just bluntly. There's some great articles on our site that tell you why that is. So what we're looking at is what will it take to write something that exhibits the signals that an expert wrote it for this topic. And then that's how we're coming to these recommended scores versus the average scores. But we feel it prudent and pragmatic to show you the averages. We want to show you the best, who's got the best article right now from a standpoint of comprehensiveness, what is the average? And then what does MarketMuse AI say that you should focus on, right? You can go and write to the best. You can peg, there's a common strategy for MarketMuse users, I'm gonna tell you, is to go in to compete and look at what the best article is and write something better and longer than that. More power to you, right? That's fun. We're trying to give you the must meets minimum to be an expert, but also give you the point of reference of what that average and grade is. The other thing I'll mention is that's what makes compete different. Imagine we were just looking at those pages, well, then all the pages would be in a linear chart, best to worst in content score. That's not the reality of organic search engine optimization. And anyone that says correlation SEO says otherwise, it just doesn't play out, right? So when we go in, we show you and we juxtapose the topic model against the competitors. So you can see who's covering what intents, who's got great content, or maybe who's very powerful and authoritative because something else. Maybe it's their link profile. Maybe it's other pages. Maybe they're just some huge website that you're competing against. So us showing you the model enables you to make decisions for your site about how to differentiate versus just showing you how many people are doing something.
Awesome. So his follow-up question was, how is user intent calculated? I'm sure it's complicated, but can you give a basic overview?
Oh man, that's some great questions. Whoever that is, call me. So we were joking around one time with a good friend of mine. I won't name drop him on the call. We were talking about, I think we've used the hashtag user intent on Twitter more than any human in the world. But we have really been focused on this. What we're able to do is walk through. We built a technology. Gentleman by the name of Med Doord on my team. I had built this. He was the lead on this project team. We're able to analyze and classify user intent, and we built out a artificial intelligence platform that has machine learning components that can look at a page and tell you what it's about, and we can also tell you what its target intent is. What I'd say is, functionally, I can get into more details about that. My background is computer science, but I've been in the search space for about 21 years in content strategy space. We can talk all day. But what I'll say is, for you, the way that I would interpret that into an AppSumo account is think about intent fracture. And that sounds like a complicated thing, but what it means is, how specific is what I'm writing about, is the topic I put in. It's not, does it have two meanings? It's, if someone were to search for this term, do they have a lot of different things they'd be looking for? So if I just type in CRM, right? I could be looking for the stock quote for Salesforce. I could be looking for what is CRM. I could be looking for different types of CRM software. I could be looking for, some other acronym, right? That's actually not intent. That's a different meaning. But what I'm saying is, make sure you can say, if someone were to type this in, here's the 3 or 4 things that they could be looking for. And if there's a lot more things, then that's a fractured intent, right? It's not only about what it says in the search result. That's Google's favored intent. What MarketMuse is trying to figure out is, what's the true intent of the topic or the query. So I can get into this in more detail. I have a webinar about it as well, but I just want to highlight, we look for what it really means to look for this topic, all the different ways people do it differently. And then we try to give our view of the favored intent.
Wonderful.
Great question, whoever that was. High five.
If you are a local business, is the compete tab comparing your content to other local businesses or nationally?
Right, great question. That is not, it is not in locality. It is not. There is some workflows for local. There's 3 blog posts on our blog. How do you do local SEO with MarketMuse? Please read those. We also did a recent webinar with a gentleman from LoganX. We talked all about this, but if you have any local specific workflow questions, please ask me. It's something that I'm passionate about local. I'll give you a high level workflow. Look at the topic with your specific locale attached to the term, look at it without, and research competitive areas with the query associated, right? Use case, personal injury attorney Albuquerque, I'm just assuming isn't very competitive. Compare that output to Los Angeles, right? You build all 3 of those topic models, that's when you can really start beating up your local competition. And that works in many spaces, but I've got some workflows for that. Please ping me and we can help out. But yeah, you want to be looking at multiple knowledge graphs, which is what we built, by the way. We build our own knowledge graph, topic model for these things. So you want to look at all those things if you're a small business, if you're looking at locations. Compete is looking at universal and non-specific. The exception to that is you choose your country in our supported countries when you sign up or in your settings. You can actually look at UK specific and a number of Canada specific. So if your setting is Canada, it will be Canada results that it's looking at only, Canada specific. If you look at UK, it'll be UK specific. So it's giving you local at the country level. It's not giving you local at your city, state level. Okay. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was a long answer to a really easy question, but no, I just want to make sure I'm covering everything. So
yeah, you got it. All right, there are a couple pieces to this question. One, did you say that final drafts are excluded from credits in the AppSumo deal? Two, does this include content plan and topic reports as potential uses for credits?
yes.
Please clarify what credits can be used for and why. We have gotten a couple other follow-up questions regarding credits, but we can go ahead and start there.
Let's get into credits. All right.
Somebody else asked, what are practical examples of how credits are used inside the app? There's a whole variety. Let's just talk credits.
Easiest way to describe it is credits initially were called brief credits at MarketMuse, right? And then we added things that could also be used for credits. That's the easiest way to think about it from a history of MarketMuse. They were internally called brief credits. So at the core, credits are used for briefs. So that's if you're going to take away one thing. And then we added our natural language generation platform. And then credits can be used for first drafts. When we changed the AppSumo to be unlimited codes, we had to take away for the final drafts from the thing. Those are delivered by our service organization. And thus we aren't delivering final drafts. If you have an exception, if you bought that, in the first day of final draft, we have record of that, ping us. We'll give you some examples. We'll figure that out. If it was after we made that tweak, yeah, we cannot deliver those to AppSumoans. Sumo links. Why do I want to say AppSumoans sometimes? Sumo links. And that's something that is, something we had to pull out of there, as well as would be content plans. And, if you make a request for a topic report, just ping us on that through support. We may be able to deliver those still. That's a solution that is being pushed into some of our other applications. So some of our applications in the future are going to have some of the data from a topic report, so you don't even need to order it. But easiest way to think about it for everyone, briefs, first drafts. That's it. Simple.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh yeah, by the way, no MarketMuse customers get recurring. They are things, they're credits, right? So you get them. So just keep that in mind. You're not special, not excluded.
All right, Stephen wants to know about SEO silo strategy. He also wants a demo of the advanced settings and of the Connect application.
Gotcha.
Stephen's got some
cool. I did see a question. I'm sorry, I'm just going to take it. Can you buy? Yes, you can. You can buy more credits right in the application or through support, because there are price breaks for larger packages. So after you run out, you're able to buy them. Can I show Connect? Can I show
Connect, advanced settings?
Advanced settings.
And then how do I use MarketMuse for SEO silo strategy?
That's a great question and super complicated. All right, I love it. No, I love it.
Stephen had a lot here.
No,
there's a lot packed.
No, you got. Obviously, these are people that are amazing. So, okay, so the advanced settings. I'm going to explain them, and then I'll explain what they do. On Connect, I'm going to change accounts because this one is a demo, and Connect is tied to your domain. So I'm doing this on the fly. That's when I always remember when I first started using MarketMuse, I was worried about doing demos, right? But this platform's been out for so long, I trust it. It always works, so it's great. So let me just show you an example of this. All right. So I'm going to explain it first, though. So inside Optimizer, where you see the advanced settings, you see article only as one of the tabs. And let me share my screen. All right, so article only uses our machine learning technology, which we've built, which is a boilerplate stripper, it's called. Super technical name for something. It tries to rip off the headers and the footers and the sections of your page that seem like they're boilerplate. They're not unique content. If you want to look at your entire page, click on full page. So then when you pull that page out, it will include the whole page. If you have a weird structure of your site, if you're not getting the article you want from the boilerplate stripper, use full page and it will pull the entire source of the content. If you're still having problems with that, cut and paste the section of the content you want to analyze directly from your page and paste it in. So that allows us to support most people with this, some exceptions, and then cutting and pasting. If you've got a site that's just really wackily out, structured, you may need to cut and paste the sections. What this also does is it unlocks an advanced workflow. If you want to look at sections of your page that are focused on specific intents, you type in that specific intent, cut and paste just that section, and you can work on that section independently to the entire page. Those are just some common things. People and brands. When you build topic models, like we do at scale, knowledge graphs, people and brands are only tremendously relevant for certain types of content creators, certain types of SEOs. So we create them. If they are overwhelmingly relevant to a topic model, they will still appear. People and brands will. But if you're in e-commerce, if you're doing product reviews, if you're doing those types of things, you may want to have not filter out as many of the people and brands from the queries you're searching for. So clicking this button before you search for the query will not dither or will not remove as many of the people and brands from the recommendations. Hopefully that was crystal clear. All good?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Content, Connect. Yeah. I got Connect, it's live. All right, so what Connect does is it builds your cluster. So this actually connects to the silo question. It shows you the active cluster recommendations and your best pages for each of these related topics. So content brief. Here's my best pages for content brief. Influencer marketing, my best pages for that. Creative brief template, my best pages for that. What it's showing you are the pages that should be interwoven and linked together, effectively building out that cluster really quickly. The external links show you external pages for adjacent topics, non-competitive topics. Big common mistake in silo building, big common mistake in linking strategy is externally linking to extremely relevant competitive content. Don't do that. If you're writing an article about what is a content brief, don't link to Wikipedia's definition of what is a content brief. It's not really a great idea because you're basically saying, hey, these people have a better version of it than I do. So what this is giving you are adjacent topics that are in the model and some external things that you might want to consider linking to if they make sense editorially. And this will make your pages more powerful and more natural. We will be more naturally referencing sources. If you have configured competition, you can actually exclude competitors from Connect so that they're not included here. And you can actually see what their pages are, what their most powerful pages are. In network was a advanced feature that wouldn't be relevant to AppSumo, and I don't think, but if it did, I'll just tell you what it is. You can actually, if you had 15 sites, you can put all your sites in there and it will show you the best internal links that connect your own site network. So if you have site A and site B, it'll show you the best ways to connect site A and site B related to this topic. So it's truly that internal and external linking strategic application.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of that.
No problem. Great question.
It took as long as I thought it was going to.
Call me on that one. I think that was great. And siloing strategy, I've got a lot of materials on that. We've got some great blogs on our site too. If you have a specific question about your particular strategy, silos are bad, clusters are good. Okay, silos bad. If you've got your blog and you're not allowed to write, you're not allowed to influence the website, and you work for a SaaS company, and you're only allowed to write on the blog, and it's creating a silo in your organization. Just like you don't want silos in your organization, you don't want silos in your content. If you've got a forum and it's completely separate from the blog, no. But if you're talking about content clusters, good. You want to cover all stages of the buy cycle. You want to cover all user intent profiles with your content. There's a book right behind my head called Content Chemistry by Andy Crestodina. Best book on the topic. It's right there.
Somebody asks, what is a content cluster?
Awesome question. Content cluster is going to be a collection of content that tells the story that you are the definitive expert on a particular concept. You cover all the use cases. You know every stage of the buy cycle, every stage of the knowledge cycle, from I don't know anything about this, early stage awareness for beginners, to post-purchase troubleshooting. You've got it all. So the topic cluster in a single article, great question. The answer to that is, I hate, almost as an SEO, I almost hate saying it. It depends. It depends on how much money you got to write. It depends on what the competition looks like. It depends on, I always like to say, when someone says, should I do that in one page or should I do that in many? Do both if you can, but make the individual pages maybe targeted for a different level of understanding for a different industry, right? So no, it's not put it all on the one page. It's understand the landscape, understand how users will digest this information, understand if you're doing something and it's not natural, you don't want to. You're not going out to write a 50,000 word article about this. Is that really going to be a great user experience? So, think it's primarily, just like the content score targets, they're relative. It's relative to what's out there. It's relative to the competition. That's why when people say, what content score should I go for? It's every topic's different, right? What length should I go for? Every topic's different. Anyone who says otherwise, I will leave it at that.
Can you repeat the name of the book that you have back there?
That is Andy Crestodina's Content Chemistry. Great book. Gosh, he owes me a few bucks for that one. But no, but also, behind there, Art of SEO is also the other one you could probably see there. But that's by Eric Enns and Stephen Spencer, two good friends of MarketMuse as well as mine. So.
You said you weren't name dropping. No.
I know, but then I just did. Someone asked.
That's okay. Where do the questions come from, and how do you determine which questions to include?
Good question.
It's from our friend Joseph. Joseph has been asking all the good questions.
I want to know Joseph. I can't wait till we get to fly around again. Maybe I'll run into him at PubCon or something. How do we decide? We are the only person who can actually calculate the relevance of a question to an intent. So we look at the fracture on your query, and we connect it to this large pool of questions that we build out. And then we're actually able to sort it by relevance. That's a big differentiator. We're not scraping PAA. But you can scrape PAA, and you should. But I'm not saying, oh gosh, I can't believe I just said that. But no, you should grab that stuff too. Please do. It's a great point of reference. But yeah, people, and by the way, PAA people also ask, which is the little questions on the search result. But no, we try to gather, just like we do, we try to gather as much information as we can and then formulate or extract questions or form them. So we can actually read a declarative statement and turn it into a question.
If using MarketMuse without a content brief, you have a set of keywords to guide your writing, but not any context, how would a writer make use of the data without a content brief?
That is where you're aiming to, they have to build that, right? So you can you can formulate a template if you have a standard template. You can group those things together and logically. You have link references to those sources or competitive sources. But yeah, the applications are do it yourself. And then the other aspects of our solution are where we're building out those structures. And the key is those aren't templates, right? Every one is different. Every brief has a structure. So in the future, we'll be looking into building different types of brief structures. It's actually in our roadmap too. Right now we do those manually and custom. So.
Awesome. Yeah. I've seen this word pop up a couple times in questions. Newsroom. Can you talk a little more about Newsroom? What is the functionality?
Newsroom is awesome. And it's only accessible, not even only on our premium solution. It's actually only accessible at the highest end of our premium solution. It's for large news teams and publishers. It analyzes Google News to build a model of all accessible, and not just Google News, but all news content. It builds models based on news content only. We can actually separate what a news content item is versus a non-news article. And so we build a model off of news right now. We build a model off of the web content. We then compare them and show you what it means to write news content right now, temporally, as you speak, whether it's a hot topic, whether it's a trending topic, and then also what evergreen content looks like, what stalwart content would be, and then the cross-reference of those two things. So basically, what it tells you is if I were to write the thing that's newsworthy today, is that the same as what I would write to write, long form content for longevity, or is it different? And that's the functionality. So if you aren't focused on news content, news results, it would not be relevant. It's primarily focused for us on large publishing teams. So.
Awesome. All right, we're going to cruise through a bunch of these Sumo links. If you have any other questions that you want, you can continue putting them in the Q&A box. If you start with a brand new site, how often is your database updated to include the latest articles?
Every time you press a button, it updates.
Cool, fun.
Every time you press a button, our database updates. We have a large repository of language as well as of our historic knowledge graphs. But every time you press that button, it updates. If in your account there is caching of information, but it is if you rerun the data, it will update it. I will pause and let Jasleen correct me if I'm wrong about whether it always updates or if it's cached if you're in the same account, in a pro account or a AppSumo account. I will get back to you on that one because I don't want to say something and then the cache limits are different. But basically, almost every time you click that button, our database is updating. If you see something out of date on there, typically by rerunning that, it will update it. But it's not the case where we don't run against a static database. We enrich our database every time. Every time you press a button, we try to make our model better. So we may have built our existing model on that. We try to go out, get more information, and append it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Why is that relevant? Okay, I gotta extend this one. Probably talking too much. But why is that relevant? Because intents change. Okay, if you had written the best article that's ever been written about natural language generation a year ago, you know how out of date that would be. So if you're using, static databases for this language, everything's changed. Everything changes. Think about it with all of the things that have happened in 2020. The intents behind things are different. If you've got pages that are older than last year and you work in remote work, they're all out of date. They're all out of date. So yeah, we try to make sure everything's up to date every time someone presses the button.
Awesome, thank you. When MarketMuse suggests the optimized content, does it also check for plagiarism?
No.
Okay.
I recommend using Copyscape or a solution that has that embedded.
Yeah.
That stated, I should reference, our NLG platform does. So it is not extractive summarization or abstractive summarization. It is a completely novel approach to generation. We are not just grabbing snippets. The impact of pulling snippet references and pasting them in your content, because they're a source or a statistic, especially without attribution, can be devastating for your site. If you're doing that because somebody told you to do that, don't do it anymore.
Stop it.
Without attribution. If you're doing it, it is not a good idea over time. It might help you in the short run, but it will hurt you in the long run.
There's a reason they made us, attribute everything and all of those papers we had to write in grade school. They were preparing us for this.
Yeah. And if you're putting false statistics in, you're in. Yeah, that's another topic.
Don't do that. That one's worse. Are there any plans to allow a way to buy more queries? I burned a few figuring out the tool.
Buy more queries. Yes, you can buy credits and convert them to queries.
Cool. Do you recommend using all of the terms that are shown on the suggested tab within Optimize? And if so, does that get you to an 100% score?
I do not recommend writing 100 score content items. No, they're just you're probably stuffing in that case. You want your content to get better in quality. These are points of reference. That's why our target score is almost always relative. If you beat that significantly and you're doing it with high quality content, like let's say we're like, get at least a 31, and you go out and write a 62, and it passes muster. What you want to be focused on is if the most elite expert in the field you're writing about read that, would they say it was written by an expert? That's the score that you care about. We're doing the best job we can to quantify expertise and content quality. That's our tagline. We set the standard for content quality. So the thing you want to think about is there isn't a magician's formula for does it pass the sniff test of an expert.
Cool.
Don't go out and write hundreds unless they're awesome. And by the way, we've seen it. There are great sites. There are great sites out there writing, mega amazing, the most comprehensive things you've ever seen, and they are doing well. There's also ones that have stuffed for 100. We actually have a setting in our product management platform. This is such inside baseball, but that looks for people who are spamming with MarketMuse, and we'll call them out. Don't do that. Because you're just not going to have the success, and then we all lose.
Right. Aim low, guys. Aim low.
Aim properly. Don't aim. Don't shoot for the stars. Because your content's probably going to read like the old adage: an SEO walks into a bar, pub, drinking hole. It's gonna read like that. You don't want that.
You don't want that.
Right.
How flexible are you about changing the domain for Connect? If we need to infrequently change it, can we?
Good question. Make your case. No, it's one of those things. We're protecting ourselves against reselling of these accounts. We also have a very, very strict account sharing software inside MarketMuse. If you are sharing this account, we know. And so that's the thing I'll say. And that's just me being straightforward. We are very, very sensitive to our terms of service. We're a software platform. And that is the case. So if you have a case to make, shoot us a note in support. I don't actually believe we've said no too many times. So I'll leave it at that.
Wonderful. Sumolings, we have just one more question here that we're going to run through. So if there's anything else that you would like answered, go ahead and put those in the Q&A box right now. We're only going to be here for a couple more minutes, so now's your time. All right. Do data sets draw from speech to text functionality? I get best real-time insights through attendance to public expert webinars, live and recorded panel discussions, etc. It takes a lot of time, but you hear stuff that you won't find in articles.
Whoever that is, I want to hang out with. No, text analysis only. Transcription, yes, if they exist. Rich media optimization is one of my passions. I've worked on it for almost all of my career. I've done consulting on it. If you've got audio, how to optimize that audio. But are we pulling from rich media? Only if it exists in a textual format.
Awesome.
But then on the flip side, don't not transcribe everything. Right. Improve your transcripts, make them beautiful, annotate them, expand them with MarketMuse. You got a transcript, right? Run it through MarketMuse for everything you talk about. Expand it, add commentary to those transcripts.
I like that.
Oh, it works. It works.
Yeah.
It works. We have a lot of podcast people.
I can tell y'all a few transcription tools that exist.
Yeah, I got a few too. AppSumo has had a few promotions that made that a no-brainer. Yeah. That's how we do it.
All right. When you are saying you've scared some people, when you're saying sharing account, can I use it on 2 of my computers?
Haha. Yes. We use a technology that uses machine learning to determine if you are 2 people or 2 computers.
Cool.
So if you're logging in from, I'll pick 2 random places, from Stockholm today, and then you're in East Lansing, Michigan tomorrow, then you're in Stockholm the next day, you're 2 people. You've got a really, really fast jet.
They might. You don't know our customers. All right. Can you please give me a workflow for a beginner who is starting out on content marketing?
Yes. I'll give you a bunch. I'll also work on a one-pager with Elizabeth. She'll probably look at me funny when I say it. That shows some common workflows. So keep that in mind. We've got to go. One that I love is the old striking distance strategy. Go look at your pages that are low quality according to MarketMuse, and they are just on the edge of being successful in organic search. Right? So you're ranking, 8, 15, 20. MarketMuse says they're not comprehensive, but they get some traffic already. They've got some authority. Go make those pages the best you can with Optimize and Compete. Watch what happens. That's if I'm just starting out, update some existing stuff. What you also might want to do is, find something that is relevant to the thing you're promoting or marketing, and use research, use Optimize to go write a great piece about this topic, and pick a competitor. Make something that is absolutely better than them, and not just because it has the words, just better. And this will be a quantifiable way for you to say, I made it better because of these things. And when you do that, see what happens.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. This is going to be our last question. Thank you so much for all of this. We got it from 2 people at the same time.
Right.
They're worried about VPN usage. Will it throw out an alarm for you?
I don't know. No, what I'll say, if you are doing something where you're, here comes the CS nerd. If you're doing something where you're serving third party from a distributed server source, so you have a staged virtual computer and you're accessing a virtual machine, yeah, it's probably going to be a problem. But we don't. I don't know. I won't know until those happen. But yeah, basically, that's how people steal software. I mean, I'm just being completely blunt. That's how they do it. And so it's, if you're doing it for the right reasons, ping us, tell us what you're doing, and we can exclude it. Don't think it's just gonna like hit you with a hammer and turn you off. It's just we see it.
One day.
But if you have it set up and it's, one good example is if you're in a country that does not allow ultimate access to the web.
Yeah, that's what just followed.
If that's the use case, we will absolutely whitelist everything for you, passionately, and we will support you in any way we can. We have done that in the past, and kudos to you for trying to get access to the whole internet, because that's what it's all about. Sorry, I didn't want to get a little too detailed there, but no.
By the way, expats, we hate you, and you're just not allowed now, of course.
No, it's true though. I mean, if you're stuck, I mean, another example is, there's certain countries in Africa and East Asia that get different search results completely. Not just they're actually connected to different algorithm training models. Because there's products being featured. I mean, there's some situations where you actually have different alpha products of Bing and Google in place because they're testing against your location, and it's not good for SEOs. The answer model that just launched this week is a good example. So.
Right. Well, thank you for everything. Thank you for the walkthrough and for all of your knowledge and everything that you've shared with everybody here. I feel like this is a webinar not just to watch for the tool, but also just like, how to learn some stuff about content marketing. This is great. So thank you very much. Thank you, Jasleen and Elizabeth, for hanging out and answering questions behind the scenes. Jeff, of course, for walking us through everything. Sumolings, if you have not already, you can go to appsumo.com/marketmuse to redeem your codes. They're starting at $69 for a lifetime deal. And of course, this is backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee. So you can go ahead, get set up, see how this works for you. Once you've done that, we do love to read your comments down on the deal page. You can go ahead and leave your reviews, give it a taco rating. And if you have any more questions that we didn't get to today, I am so sorry. You can leave those on the deal page though, and I'm sure they'll get to them shortly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks for everybody for questions, feedback. And like I said, leave those reviews. They really mean a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Have a good one.